We're back, Undisputed Boxing. Please like and subscribe. We are here to talk about the top 10 heavyweights. Rick has done his top 10. I have done the same. And we're going to compare, probably argue and bicker a little bit. So without further ado, let me just do a quick share screen. And yeah, Rick, talk us through your top 10. I presume you're going off of resume form, similar to what I was doing.
Yeah. I think well, there's two ways of doing this, isn't it? When you ever do a top 10, it's you can either do it of who do you actually think is the best, or who's proven themselves. You know, so there's a few there that I'm like, actually, they could possibly beat someone further up, but they've not quite shown the form. So it's more, I suppose it's a top 10 CV.
Yeah.
The way I've done it. Because they've proven it. It's a bit more factual-ish, I suppose. So that's kind of how I've done it. I think the first two, people wouldn't probably have too much of a debate on it, I wouldn't have thought. I mean, ours have come out the same, and we've not really discussed this. I mean, I did mine a few years ago, so I'm now trying to think back of what I was thinking. But I think if you want me to go through each one, Tyson Fury, you know, got the best resume, beat Klitschko, you know, in his own place, you know, stopped that long run in boxing. Drew with Wilder when he wasn't fully 100%, and then, you know, walked through Wilder quite convincingly. So he's got really good, you know, two good names. He hasn't got the deepest resume, if I'm honest, but he has got probably the two big best names.
Yeah.
But he does have the potential to not look good sometimes. But I'm going off, you know, when he's at his best. Joshua, you know, he's won most of the belts, unified, and you know, he's got some good names on his resume, Klitschko included. But he has had that defeat to Ruiz, and I think it'd a bit more of a. If he hadn't got beat off Ruiz, it may be the other way around those two, possibly.
Really,
Ruiz was a tricky one, really, because part of me was like, well, he's gone and beaten AJ, and then in the second fight, he got outpointed, but he didn't get wobbled really that much, or. You know, he went the distance with Joshua. So the only downside with Ruiz, he has got that tight loss to Parker.
Yeah.
But I think that Joshua win, he's got to be third. Wilder's fourth for me. I know you've got him a bit further, well, one down, not much in it, I suppose. I think for me there, you know, he drew with Fury, who's at the top.
Yeah.
But he hasn't got the, you know, there might be some people out there that might have him above Joshua, but I can't see it myself, because really he's not got a great CV.
No.
You know, drawing with Wilder, he's not got a great, you know, Ortiz is probably one of his best names, and then you've got Dominic Brazil. So you know, hasn't got a big name win under his belt. You could say that Ruiz has got a better win. We're not good. It is a better win. Joshua on the CV, so that's why Ruiz is kind of ahead of him. Povetkin, he probably may have been drifted out of this top 10 if it wasn't for what he'd just recently done against Dillian Whyte. And then he's only been beat by Klitschko and Joshua. But yeah, he would have been slipping down further, because he obviously he took a draw with Hunter recently before that, but back in the game. Pulev, I was a bit thingy with Pulev, because, you know, he's only been beaten by Klitschko. You know, so it's hard to like not have him relatively high up, but you know, I wouldn't say he's got tons and tons of great wins. You know, he's got your Hughie Furies, he's got your Chisoras and stuff like that. So that's why he kind of sits in that area. White would have been high if it hadn't been for Povetkin, because he's had some good wins, and obviously his only loss was to Joshua. Parker. Probably what kept Parker in it was his draw with Ruiz, weirdly. I thought if someone's drawn with Ruiz, who's third, you probably can't have them outside the top 10.
Well, he beat Ruiz.
Beat Ruiz, yeah. So that was a tricky one, really. How do you have one higher than the other, but then he has gone and beat Joshua, where Parker's lost, he's lost to White and Joshua, so he's got to go further down. Usyk's a strange one because, and this is probably the biggest difference between mine and yours, and this is where he's just not done it yet. He's beaten Chisora, who isn't in my top 10. He just hasn't got a big enough win in the heavyweight division to put him further up. But that's one of those where you look at it and go, could Usyk beat Pulev? Probably, but he just hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, that's fair comment. And talk me through Filip Hrgović, because this is where I think this is an interesting pick.
Yeah, to be fair, I was struggling at the end of who to put in, because you've got, I think, all those top 9 are I won't say clear cut, but then it's like there's a big
themselves, don't they?
And who would you have behind? And you've got Hunter, and there's an argument for Hunter as well, because of his draw with Povetkin. I think he's probably the one Hrgović where I've probably gone a little bit off my normal tactic, and I've gone for more how good do I think he is rather than his CV.
Well, he doesn't really have anybody on his CV. I mean, who is Filip Hrgovic's best win, would you say?
It's probably on paper, it's Molina.
Yeah. Did you see that fight?
I think it went 3 rounds.
Oh, mate, it was like embarrassing. Like how Eric Molina got a shot at the heavyweight world title with Deontay Wilder, I will never know, because on his resume up until he fought Deontay Wilder, it was like a long list of nobodies. And he pretty much just came to kind of lay down. And against Filip Hrgović, it was pitiful. Like he went down on one knee and he turned around. Like he just did not want to know. And how, I don't know. I found it quite.
I actually thought against Wilder, Molina was, I don't think that was one-sided. It became one-sided towards the end, but it went like 8 rounds, and he did catch Wilder a few times.
Did it really go 8 rounds?
I think so, yeah.
That's unbelievable. I mean,
he only went 3 with Joshua, I think. Once Joshua unloaded.
I remember Joshua dealt with him a lot easier. But that's the thing, like you can get one heavyweight that can have a one shot at the title, and they kind of make a career off it. Like that Rozvan Conjanu, the Romanian heavyweight that went the distance with Joseph Parker. He's had like a couple of cheeky paydays off the back of that. But yeah,
he fought Ortiz recently.
I don't know actually. I think Ortiz just recently beat Alexander Flores, but that was very dodgy. That was like a 1 round, and I think it was like a light jab, and he just laid down.
It was a bit of a dark one. But interestingly, neither of us have got him on here, have we?
Ortiz, yeah, I know. Well, I think apart from the fact that he's like 120 years old, and I've judged my top 10 on resume, but also recent form, which is a little bit difficult to gauge given that there's a little bit of inactivity with some of them because obviously what's been going on in the world. But I mean, recent form for Luis Ortiz, obviously you got your 2 knockout defeats to Deontay Wilder, and then that win against Alexander Flores, wasn't really doing it for me. I can't remember, did he have a fight in between the Wilder fights? He must have had one. But I don't think it was anybody of any note.
Kept it safe, I think. He kept it safe.
For sure, yeah.
I mean, I think the one dodgy one on there for me is Hrgović. And if I'm sticking with the CV stuff, it's probably Hunter that probably should be in there instead of him because, he's beat Bakole. We're not quite sure how good Bakole is, but it's still a decent name. And he drew with Povetkin, who's number 5 on mine.
Yeah.
So
and he's also beaten Sergei Kuzmin as well, which is a big win. And Sergei Kuzmin is a decorated amateur. That was a big, that's a big win. So I that was pretty much clear. I knew that he'd definitely be in my top 10. It's just where I fit him. But
go through yours.
Yeah. So just similar to you. I mean, Tyson Fury, I think is the consensus number 1. I think anybody that says he's not number 1, you're kind of drinking the AJ Kool-Aid. But I mean, I'm so pumped if that fight can come off next year, Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua. It is a pick and fight, but I think because Tyson Fury does have that win over Deontay Wilder in the backyard, and also the Klitschko win in Germany, I think was probably more impressive than AJ's win over Klitschko. So the first two kind of pick themselves for me. Alexander Povetkin I put in at number 3. I probably would have had Dillian White in at number 3 had he beaten Povetkin, just because of his resume and his form. He's been very active. But obviously the Povetkin win obviously almost reverses their position. Before we finish this video, actually, I want to talk about the Povetkin White rematch, because I think there's it'd be interesting just to sort of pick up on that. But Alexander Usyk I put in at number 4, a little bit higher than you, and that is because whilst at heavyweight he has only had a couple of fights, he does have notable wins against top contenders. Michael Hunter, he pretty much cruised to a very one-sided victory over Michael Hunter. It was a cruiserweight, but you'd have to think at heavyweight is the result going to be that much different? And let's not forget, he does also have a win over Murat Gassiev, who has also gone to heavyweight, and Usyk, absolutely schooled Gassiev at cruiserweight. And again, I would have to think that that's going to go the same way. And Gassiev is, he's only 27, 28. And I think a lot of people are kind of picking him to be a real contender over the next 2 or 3 years at heavyweight. It's going to be a real handful. And Usyk, schooled him. And I think his win over Chisora, whilst people don't seem to be that sort of high on it, I think it was a really, really impressive win. If you look at Chisora and Dillian White were pretty evenly matched over 2 fights, and Usyk just, I just didn't really give Chisora that much chance and that many rounds when they fought.
I know what you mean. The thing is for me is that, White still beaten twice and flattened in the second time. And I know it was close, but it was a convincing end. Just keep talking. A bit unprofessional, but I'm just going to get my charger.
All right. Deontay Wilder, similar to you. I think when you should take out the draw with Tyson Fury, and then the 2 wins over Luis Ortiz, his resume is really, really, really slim pickings. Like, you're talking about Eric Molina, Johan Dupar. I don't see how these fighters were even in the top 10. Arthur Spilka and some of these, and Gerald Washington, and some of these guys were actually beating Deontay Wilder on points until, he kind of hits them with that equalizer. So, yeah, I'm not going to go as far as to say as Deontay Wilder is the biggest fraud in heavyweight boxing, but there's definitely a case that could be made for it. Dillian White, number 6, as I mentioned, that's the reason why I would have had Povetkin there, but I think, you kind of switch them around given what happened in their last fight. Andy Ruiz, obviously he has that scalp now on Anthony Joshua, so he's there and he's in the mix.
There's a big gap there with me and you on that one, isn't there? That's probably another quite big gap. There's a 4 difference. Do you not have him higher because he has got that win? I mean, what has Povetkin got a big enough win? Has Usyk got a bigger win than that?
I just don't.
He's unbeaten other than Parker. Is it the Parker thing that pulls him down?
Yeah, I think the Parker defeat, even though a lot of people thought that was very, very close, and some people actually thought that Ruiz won that fight. I don't know. I mean, who else is his biggest win on his resume? I remember looking at his resume. I didn't really see anybody else, on there. I think did he beat Alex Ustinov?
It's not a busy CV really. It's a bit like Fury's. It's quite weak underneath.
Yeah. It is.
But got that Joshua name, and though he lost again, he still went the distance more than, I think it's only Parker that's gone the distance with Joshua before that. So I don't know. I suppose that's the one I question the most out of yours, probably, that Ruiz is so far down.
Yeah, still not as questionable as Filip Hrgović though for me.
Possibly.
Michael Hunter, obviously we touched on this a little bit already, but yeah, notable wins over Sergei Kuzmin, the draw against Povetkin. Yeah, I think he's I think he's justifiably, in the top 10 for me, for sure. Joseph Parker, I mean, you could say he's been a little bit inactive, but, he does still have, some good names on his resume. Carlos Takam, which was like 2016. That was a solid Carlos Takam. Andy Ruiz. So, yeah, and I think with a couple more big wins, he could work his way back into title contention. And then Kubrat Pulev, I actually, a little bit with you, I struggled for like my number 10, and I went with Pulev because of his only defeat against Klitschko. But you do look at his resume, and it is really thin. Like, he's got Samuel Peters on there, and, some pretty Manuel Char, I think, is on there. That was maybe back in the day. But, the win over Hughie Fury and Derek Chisora.
Chisora on there.
Sorry, yeah, he's got Chisora on there. Yeah, so yeah, I do think interestingly. Sorry, go on.
I think that's why I had him a little bit higher. I get you. He's not been overactive, or he's not had any big names recently.
Yeah. And I think if he gets beaten by Joshua in a couple of weeks, I think there's an argument actually that maybe Joe Joyce could maybe get in there at number 10. And Pulev may drop out. Would there be any change with last night's Joe Joyce's win over Dubois? Would that change? I mean, you could argue and say he's got a better resume than Filip Hrgović.
Depends how much you rate Dubois, I suppose. This is a problem. When someone beats someone, you don't really know who Dubois is yet, do you?
No, but he does also have Bryant Jennings and Bermain Stavern, notable wins.
I'm not having Stavern. Not having that one. Not really classing. I mean, Stavern is. I mean, you can go, he's ex-world champion and stuff, but he was. I mean, he weighed more than me. And that's saying something. So,
yeah, Bryant Jennings.
I've never been. I'm never. Ortiz has got Jennings.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
So I don't know. I get it. Jennings is one of them. It's like, well, how good is Jennings as well? And you can continue that argument with everything, but I don't know. It's just, not sure.
So how highly do you rate Hrgović? Do you think he's potential world title material?
I don't know. Well, with the level of world title, I don't think he'll beat Joshua or Fury, but I think he could give other ones. He could beat some of the others.
Yeah.
I think he could get into that middle ground. I would think. Where would you put him then? I mean, he's not in your top 10, but would you say he's knocking on the door?
I'd say he's knocking on the door, yeah. But I mean, you've got a few that are kind of, knocking on the door. You've got, Kawanaki's obviously looks like he's going to come back in Q1 next year. Charles Martin's obviously coming back. So I think he needs at least, I'd say, a couple of wins against, European level, fringe world level before I consider putting him in my top 10. He wasn't really on my radar to be in top 10, to be honest. But, that's the beauty of boxing. I guess it's all opinions, isn't it?
I'm still gutted about Baby Miller, the drugs test, because I think we've missed something with him coming out. I mean, I don't want to drugs cheat in the sport, but like, if he hadn't been doing the drugs, he's would have been a handful, and he's just entertaining. Yeah. So it's a shame we're not talking about him more, but
yeah,
the way it is.
Yeah. Just on the Dillian, before we wrap it up, Dillian Whyte against Povetkin. What's your? Don't have to give me a full prediction now, but do you see that as a closer fight, or do you think that's going to be a routine win for Dillian Whyte?
I'm trying to think. When we did the reaction fight, I think we did a mini prediction of what we think would happen. So I don't want to be inconsistent, but I can't fully remember what I said. So I still back Whyte, and I think I backed Whyte first time. And I was worried about him getting caught with something sneaky, which is what happened. He got caught with something sneaky. Hopefully, he's learned from it. you know, so, and he knows he can hurt him, so he's just got to tighten up a bit, and he'll get through it, and he'll probably finish Povetkin. I don't think Povetkin's got much in him, but he can still deliver that punch. I mean, I think he was. I still maintain it when White went down, you know, for 8 seconds. Did you see that thing? 8 seconds. He seemed to be stumbling still. He just delivered that punch and he was like unsteady on his feet. So I don't think he had much left. He just got that punch in, and I don't think it's a one-off punch. I think he could land it again because that's his style. It's not something he's just done out the blue. That is his style. Short punches, sneaky ones. So if he's just careful on that, I think he'll do it because he's proven he can hurt him.
Yeah.
He's just got to be careful in the short exchanges and that. I think for him, he could get a bit confused what to do at some stage. If he gets him wobbled, does he really go for it?
Well, it's definitely a closer fight, and I think the bookies will have it closer. And there's a couple of things that have happened. Obviously, Povetkin's going to have grown in confidence, knowing that he can clean him out. And, you know, what kind of a Dillian Whyte is going to come, you know, into the ring, you know, next time around. You know, he's going to have that in the back, you know, no matter how strong his, you know, personality and his confidence and his character is, he's going to have that in the back of his mind, knowing that this guy, you know, leveled me out last time we got in the ring. So how much is that going to kind of play in his mind? But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know. I can't say with any degree of certainty. I was pretty sure at the time that Dillian Whyte would probably win with a late stoppage, maybe on points. But now I'm like, I have no confidence in, you know, one way or the other. It'll be interesting. It hasn't been confirmed yet, has it?
No, I mean, it was obviously meant to be in November, and then that got delayed. I mean, that they're saying it's the last weekend of January, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they're eyeing up. But I think they're just seeing how Povetkin is, you know, after COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, it's another. I mean, he's probably over the hill now anyway, Povetkin. But it's also another 6 months of him aging.
Yeah.
You know, there is that going on. It's tight. I mean, it was always quite a tight fight. I do still lean towards Whyte and would, you know, fancy him still, but it's tricky. I'll be sat there a bit like that, I think, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's a Brit as well, and I want to see him do well. And
yeah,
you know,
I think it's better for the heavyweight division if he does win, because he is great for the you know, he's great for the division. You know, he's great in press conferences. He sells the fight. I just think, you know, Povetkin has kind of, you know, he's kind of had his chance. He's had his day. It would be great for Dillian Whyte to be in the mix. I think a defeat for him, yeah, it could really sort of spell the end for him at world level, unless he gets a chance and, you know, he gets that gift. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully it'll be confirmed soon. All right, cool. Let's wrap it up then. So next week we are going to review our prediction of Errol Spence versus Danny Garcia. Billy Joe Saunders has now been confirmed. He's fighting Martin Murray. Quick one. How do you see that fight going? Billy Joe Saunders, Martin Murray.
Depends what shape Saunders is in.
Yeah,
I think so. That's the big question. But it should, you know, Saunders should win that comfortably on points. But he's a bit of a fury where if he's not fighting someone that he's really fearful of, he can put in a below par performance. So yeah. I get the feeling it will be closer than it should be, but he'll still do it.
So like a point, yeah. I think a points win and a kind of an unsteady performance, because this is Murray's last chance, absolute last chance. But yeah, I do see Billy Joe Saunders, sort of maybe an ugly win. And yeah, I think let's do a pound for pound top 10, world pound for pound top 10. We'll do that again. You'll do that next Sunday. All right. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share the videos. Please like and subscribe. All right. Take care.